Hey, welcome back to Mr. Menta's ELL Classroom. Today we're going to be continuing our discussion of Chapter 5 of the Blue Book, which covers a lot of adjectives and a lot of descriptions of things, also a lot of opposites. So for this video lesson, you will need this activity 30 and this activity 31. Okay, you can find those, as always, in the description of the YouTube video. Print them off if you can. If you do not have access to a printer, then read them off of your computer and write the answers on a separate sheet of paper. So, this section here, I'm going to start with, is actually a pretty important idea that I am surprised the book didn't give more textbook space to. And that is possessives. So over here in our example, if we see here, we've got a picture of this guy, he's Albert, and you have a picture of a car. And then it says Albert's car. So we have the apostrophe and the S here. But that's not the way we usually use apostrophe S. This doesn't mean is. This is a different thing for apostrophe S. This means the car belongs to Albert. It's his car. He owns it. It's Albert's car. Okay? So that's called a possessive. And we can do that by adding this apostrophe and S to any name to say who something belongs to. So over here, for example, we have Jenny. So they want to do a possessive for that as well. Okay? So, over here, we put who owns it, and over here we put what it is. We can look up here if we like. I think it's probably bicycle, right? So we're going to write Jenny's bicycle. This is Jenny's bicycle. And make sure you remember the apostrophe and the S. That's what makes it a possessive. So that's actually a pretty important idea that we need to practice and make sure we're familiar with. So do that. Okay? Then, when you're done with that, go on to the next page. Okay, over here, we're going to be doing a little more with possessives. Now, these are possessive adjectives, okay? Where we are, again, talking about who owns what, but instead of using a name, we say his, her, their, its. So, for example, over here, we might say that's his bicycle. That's Albert's car, it's his car. That's Jenny's bicycle, it's her bicycle. We would use these words instead. These are all capitals because these are all the beginning of a sentence, but you normally don't need capitals for these. Now here's one thing you are going to notice, and this is where it gets a little tricky, but that's why I have a job as an English teacher. It's because there's so many tricky things about English that aren't immediately clear. We look at this word here, it's. You notice that's I-T-S, no apostrophe. So when you use it's like it is, you have an apostrophe. But when we use it's here as a possessive, to say something belongs to someone else, we have no apostrophe, okay? Even though we add the apostrophe when we were talking about a name. Over here, like Albert's. So Albert's gets an apostrophe. There it is. But it's does not, okay? It's one of the weird rules of the English language. But there it is. So, what you're going to do is read these sentences and circle which possessive adjective we should use. So, Mary's brother isn't short. Her brother is tall. Mary. Is Mary going to be he, she, they, or it? We know that Mary is a woman, so we're going to say her for a woman. You follow? Do your best on this. If you have any trouble with it, make your best guess, and I will go over the answers with you in a minute. And then down here, we have a very brief reading assignment. So first of all, they gave you this box It's the same box that we went over just a minute ago in another video, so I'm not going to go over it again, but feel free to look it over. Same for this one. And then you read this short story and answer questions about it. So you have a story here about Mr. and Mrs. Grant, and then they ask you the question, is Mr. Grant short? You write, yes, he is. Okay. Some of these answers you're going to write, no, he isn't, or no, she isn't, no, they aren't, yes, they are. You get the idea. A lot of different variations on this. So there's many different things we can do, but the answers will all be in this story and also in the picture. Okay? So read the story and then answer the questions about it. But think carefully. There's a lot of different ways this could go. Are you talking about he or she? Are you saying yes or no? You know, are we maybe going to talk about they? You know, are or aren't, is or isn't. All of those things at once. So this is actually a little more tricky than it might look. Okay? So do all of those and then come back and I'll go over the answers with you. All right? So pause the video now and write the answers. All right, did you pause the video? Okay, great. So, going over the answers, we did Albert's car and Jenny's bike. Let's do the back one. Yeah. All right. George's guitar. Okay. Fred's dog. Kate's computer. Mr. Price's house. And remember, I want to see an apostrophe and an S for all of these. For these, you need an apostrophe and an S. Jane's piano. Mike's television. Mrs. Chang's book. That's probably, yeah, book. Alice's cat. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Just make sure you have the apostrophe and the S on all of them. When you're doing a possessive, you need an apostrophe and an S. Next, possessive adjectives. Okay? Number one, Mary's brother isn't short. Her brother is tall. Number two, Mr. and Mrs. Miller's apartment isn't cheap. Their apartment is expensive. Number three, Robert's sister isn't single. His sister is married. Number four, Ms. Clark's neighbors aren't quiet. Her neighbors are noisy. Number five, their dog's name isn't Rover. Its name is Fido. Again, notice this it's, no apostrophe. It's weird, but there it is. We did have an apostrophe with all the names on the other page, but on this one, when we have it, no apostrophe. Mrs. Hunter's car isn't large. Her car is small. Timmy's bicycle isn't new. His bicycle is old. Mr. and Mrs. Lee's son isn't single. Their son is married. All right, did you get all of those? You got to pay close attention. All right, so next, let's read the story together and then answer the questions about it. Meet Mr. and Mrs. Grant. Mr. Grant is short and heavy. Mrs. Grant is tall and thin. Their house is small and old. Their car is new and expensive. Their neighbors are noisy. And their cat is ugly. All right, let's see what we got for this. Is Mr. Grant short? Yes, he is. Is he tall? No, he isn't. Make sure you remember your period and your capital letter. Is he thin? No, he isn't. Number 4. Is he heavy? Yes, he is. Number 5. Is Mrs. Grant tall? Yes, she is. Number 6. Is she heavy? No, she isn't. Number 7. Is she thin? Yes, she is. Number 8. Is their house large? No, it isn't. Number 9. Is it old? Yes, it is. Number 10. Is their car new? Yes, it is. And by the way, I hope you weren't just writing yes and no for every one of these. Practice a complete sentence, all right? Yes, it is. Not just yes. Yes, it is, okay? Is it cheap? No, it isn't. Are their neighbors quiet? No, they aren't. Make sure you wrote aren't, not isn't, all right? No, they aren't. Are they noisy? Yes, they are. Is their cat pretty? No, it isn't. Okay, good work. That's the end of this one. I will see you on the next video. Keep up the good work.